The most painful thing was watching my wife prepare for an evening with her boss, Mark Diamond. She wore desirable clothes, spent a lot of time on makeup and hair, and put on a dress and high heels I had never seen. I felt betrayed, jealous, and angry. She did all this for Mark, not me, while I worked hard to provide for our family. It was confusing. Our bed life was great, and Jessica was always attentive and open. After 20 years of marriage, I trusted her. Except for that one night a month ago at her company's dinner, when Mark paid too much attention to her. There was a smirk when he looked at me after dancing with my wife, giving me a hint. For some reason, a bad feeling bothered me, and it got worse when I told Jessica the next day. Her defense of Mark confirmed my suspicions. Late meetings and missed lunches suddenly became a red flag that I needed to address immediately. The more I thought, the angrier I became. Jessica is Mark's personal assistant, and Mark is the managing partner of a prestigious law firm. He loves flaunting his success with expensive cars, jewelry, and his young trophy wife, Stella. She was a 30-year-old, extremely desirable girl he exchanged for his ex-wife of 20 years. Mark likes making jokes at other people's expense, and I remember him making fun of my work on one of our walks. I sell screws and fasteners to large retail stores. It's not a glamorous job, but I made over $200,000 a year, providing a good living for my family. I gave Jessica everything she wanted and paid for our daughter Sarah's college education. She was now in her second year. We live in a pleasant community with good friends and a comfortable lifestyle. I wasn't a power broker and didn't make $1 million a year like Mark, but we were happy, or so I thought. The night he ridiculed my work in front of my wife and others stirred my anger. It wasn't just his arrogance that bothered me, but also the fact that my wife defended him after he humiliated me regarding the question about my work at Home Depot. He asked, "So, Johnny, how's it going with the nuts and bolts? It must be fun working at Home Depot every day." Upon witnessing Jessica's laughter, my blood boiled, prompting my silent departure. To her credit, Jessica approached me and inquired about the issue. Upon explaining, she attempted to downplay it. She remarked, "Oh baby, he's just kidding. He loves to have fun. You shouldn't take everything so personally. Come with me. He's a really good guy." Against my better judgment, I stayed at dinner. Looking back, I realize I should have seen the signs, but now I may have missed some red flags. I'm not a fool, and I wouldn't sit quietly. I can understand why people are attracted to Mark. He's the alpha, the big, strong, good-looking man, the wealthy partner everyone wants to be around. Jessica was his closest ally at the firm. Everything was going well. Despite his younger, handsome wife, for Mark, he wanted it all, including someone else's wife. Over the next week, I acted quickly to find out if I was crazy or if my intuition was correct. After 6 audio recording devices and 5 video cameras arrived, I began to implement my plan. The first camera went in the smoke detector in our bedroom. The next 2 captured different angles of the bedroom. The rest went in the master bath and living room. All cameras had live streaming and up to 8K recording, connecting wirelessly to a computer in the attic, controlled remotely via a phone app. The audio devices were unique, one in a pen next to the kitchen phone and the other discreetly in her car. Standard recording devices went in her 3 favorite purses and one behind our bed. With this setup, I should capture at least 90% of her conversations and activities in the house. I felt a sense of foreboding about the upcoming week as I prepared for a business trip. Jessica, as usual, showered me with love and made our time in bed unforgettable. Whenever I went on a trip, she would begin with lots of kisses and sweet talk, expressing her love and desire for me. Her closeness and love were something I cherished, and she never disappointed. She expressed, "I love you so much, and I love making love to you, honey." With tears in her eyes, she looked at me with a smile and said, "I love you too, baby. You are amazing, and I will love you forever." It was an incredible night, and I felt so close and in love with this woman that I was convinced she couldn't be unfaithful. I almost abandoned my plan to spy on her, but thankfully, I left everything as it was and embarked on my 2-night trip. This week, I wanted to give her enough time in case something happened. We kissed goodbye, and by 6 p.m., I was on my way for the 3-hour drive to the hotel. The trip gave me time to reflect on the last 6 months of trying to find something else to do. Apart from 2 incidents with her boss, that smirk in his attempt to humiliate me, nothing changed. I smiled when I realized I was being foolish and paranoid. When I finally arrived at the hotel, I checked into my room, turned on my laptop, and relaxed on the king-size bed. It took a few minutes, and I checked my email for any work messages. Then I clicked on the link to the server in my attic to view the last 3 hours. I knew there wouldn't be much to see, but I needed to test the remote access system. I played the video at 3 times the speed until I saw my wife in the bedroom, then returned it to normal speed to enjoy watching my beautiful, desirable wife making a phone call. What I didn't expect was the phone conversation with Mark an hour after I left. The video camera captured the audio. As I watched her lying on the bed talking to her boss, I could only hear her part of the conversation. As I watched and listened to the videotape, she mentioned that I had left and she was all alone. She confirmed it would be 2 nights this time. They discussed when he could come, considering the risk of his wife asking about his whereabouts. She expressed excitement about the prospect and agreed to spend the night with him, expressing her desire to wake up next to him. After arranging the details, she reassured him that she was all his, and they exchanged words of affection. As I sat there in shock, I couldn't comprehend how we had just made passionate love, and now, an hour later, she was inviting him to spend the night. It left me questioning who this woman truly was. How could she profess love to me and betray me moments later? The unsettling question lingered. Is he coming tonight? For the next hour, I watched my loving wife prepare to meet her lover. Watching her shower, put on desirable lingerie, high heels, and makeup after spending 30 minutes fixing her hair was both painful and erotic. I always knew she was a passionate being, but she never dressed like that for me. Anger and jealousy consumed me as I realized she was doing it all for Mark, not her faithful husband. It was hard to believe. The question of whether Mark would come over tonight was soon answered when the doorbell rang. I observed Mark walking into my house and sharing a deep kiss with Jessica in real time as captured by the video camera. I took a close-up of their kiss, an image that caused me to vomit for the first time that night. He complimented Jessica, remarking, "Wow, baby, you look amazing in that dress. I can't wait to rip it off your desirable body and make love to you all night long," with a wide smile directed at her. While their exchange fueled my anger, it transformed into unbearable pain when I witnessed her taking his hand and leading him into our bedroom. The pain intensified as I watched her undress him, revealing a man with a robust physique and six-pack abs. As I observed this scene, a mixture of jealousy, rage, and anger consumed me, yet a peculiar sense of admiration for their audacity emerged. After the second bout of vomiting, I endured listening to them engage in personal activities for the next hour. Realizing my marriage was over, I acknowledged that I shouldn't have allowed it to bother me, but their conversation proved to be the most painful part of the night. As they lay together, he initiated a dialogue. He mentioned my absence, noting, "Your husband is away for a few nights, making you all mine for the next 2 days." She responded with enthusiasm, expressing her thrill that he could stay the night and how she had wanted to wake up next to him for so long. She confirmed her affection, stating that she loved being with him. He continued with anticipation, expressing his excitement about having her over and over again all night while her husband worked hard. In a moment of self-awareness, she remarked on the situation, calling it foolish. She reminded him to behave, stating that she loved her husband and he was a good person. He questioned their affair, asking why she let him have closeness with her. He mentioned that they were both married and they should just enjoy the time they had together. She agreed, saying it made sense. He confessed his feelings, stating that she gave him more love and affection than his wife or any other woman he had been with. For him, it was more than just closeness. He loved the way she made him feel, Jessica. This revelation caused deep hurt, as the love he spoke of was supposed to be exclusively for me. I continued to witness their interactions as they hugged, kissed, and talked. In another exchange, Mark asked if her husband satisfied her as much as he did. He acknowledged that her husband was a wonderful lover but claimed that he was not like her. He asserted that she did things to him that he couldn't explain. Overwhelmed with sadness, hurt, and a profound sense of loss, I turned off the computer, unable to endure this betrayal in my own home, in my own bed. I decided to stop listening. After grappling with anger for several hours and experiencing insomnia, I came to the realization that a future filled with pain and the pursuit of revenge awaited me. Upon returning home, everything appeared normal, filled with love and respect as if nothing had transpired. Jessica greeted me with a big hug and lots of kisses, acting as though nothing had occurred during my absence. However, the love I had always felt for her had transformed into disgust, causing me to shudder at her kiss. Despite my inner turmoil, I played the role of an actor convincingly, striving to appear as normal as possible. I gathered all the recordings and videos, creating copies in the cloud for backup, and crafted an encrypted file on my computer. Over the next 2 weeks, I ensured that every moment Jessica spent with me was purposeful. I kept her busy, deliberately preventing any opportunity for quickies or late-night encounters. She even inquired about my next trip, a clear indication that they desired my absence. One morning, while she was driving to work, I overheard their conversation. "When will your husband leave town again?" "I'm not sure, but I'll find out. It's got to happen soon, baby." Aware of their intentions, I strategically planned a one-night trip to ensure he would come while I was away. The plan started taking shape that same evening. As I watched a movie on TV, my cheating wife asked, "Darling, when is your next trip?" Attempting to control my anger, I responded in a joking voice, "Honey, are you trying to get rid of me? Do you have a secret lover who comes when I'm not there?" She maintained her composure, showing no signs of guilt. Do not be silly. I like it when you're home. I hope you don't have to leave, and I'm wondering if your travel has been cut back. No, sorry, honey. My job still requires me to travel. Yes, I have an evening appointment next Tuesday, and I'll be back sometime on Wednesday, I said in a convincing tone. I hate it when you leave. I wish you didn't have to, or travel like that. I miss you so much when you're gone. She then came over, hugged me, kissed me deeply, and made me feel more loved than I can explain. Upon realizing that she was giving the same love to another man, I felt an intense urge to scream and throw her to the floor. However, I maintained my composure and continued to work as usual, knowing that my plan would be put into action the following week. On Tuesday, I packed up for the trip, and Jessica and I had our last session of lovemaking. She kissed me wonderfully before I left that night, and I wondered if she had seen the sadness in my eyes when I looked at her one last time. I noticed her expression change, but I wasn't sure what she was thinking. Instead of leaving town, I returned to my office and parked my car. I then went back to my desk to work late, which was not unusual, and the few people who were there never questioned my arrival. At approximately 7:30, the video camera turned on as Mark entered my house and tenderly kissed my soon-to-be ex-wife. Again, it was showtime. I used a phone app to turn off the video camera, stashed my cell phone in a drawer to avoid GPS tracking, and quietly left the office. I grabbed my folding electric bike from the car trunk. The electric motor allowed speeds up to 30 miles per hour, covering 50 miles on a single charge. Wearing a black hoodie, I made sure no one noticed and silently biked the 12-mile journey back home. The idea behind the bike was stealth, enabling me to return home quietly and unnoticed. Within 20 minutes, I parked the bike behind the house, entered through the open backsliding door I had left, and stood quietly to ensure I wasn't discovered. Listening for sounds from the bedroom, I confirmed they were occupied, and my arrival wasn't known. I fetched a short-barreled rifle and an aluminum bat from the closet, placing the rifle outside the bedroom and holding the bat. Quietly opening the door to the candlelit room, their noise covered my approach. Without hesitation, I walked to the bed and delivered a strong blow to the side of his head. The dull thud of metal hitting flesh was overshadowed by the 250-pound man hitting the floor. Grabbing the rifle and turning on the light, Jessica realized what was happening. She looked stunned and in shock. She screamed, "Oh God, no, please no, this can't be true. Why are you here? You should be away." "Why are you with another man in my bed? That's a better question. Now shut up and pay attention." The big man, semi-conscious, sat against the wall with blood dripping from a 6-inch wound caused by the metal bat. Watching him regain consciousness, I pointed the rifle at him. "Damn it, this hurts. Why did you do that?" "Dude, are you kidding? You have closeness with my wife in my bed and you think I won't react? What are you going to do?" He nervously looked at the rifle I was pointing. "Are you worried, big man? Are you afraid I will hurt you? I know what you two did behind my back, and today is payback. I'm going to do away with you, Mark. Tonight you will die." Teasingly, I continued, "Everything you worked for will disappear. I hope it was worth it, prick." "Dude, you do away with me, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. To hell with this. We will all die tonight." "How does that sound, idiot?" I wanted to put the fear of God into both of them, with no plans to actually kill them. Their fear excited me. Jessica was crying, curled up, trying to cover herself. "Baby, please don't do anything stupid. I love you. I really do. Put the rifle down, and let's talk about this." With an evil grin, I pointed the rifle at her. "Shut up. This is because you wanted adventures outside of our marriage. Whatever happens tonight is all your work." They knew they were in trouble and had to calm me down, or I would hurt everyone. The rifle had custom-made loads with 25% salt and 75% capsicum oleoresin pepper spray. I aimed to cause pain, maybe damage, not to kill. Though I had no intention of going to jail, I wanted to seriously scare them, making the emotions last. After Big Mark recovered, he tried to rush at me and I unloaded the first round. The explosion was loud, his screams louder. A few minutes later, as he sat writhing in pain, bleeding, I explained the plan. Kicking him to get his attention, I looked at my soon-to-be ex-wife. "Listen to me, and you too, my cheating wife. I'll leave in a few minutes, and you take this loser to the emergency room before he bleeds out. You won't call the police. You'll take him to the hospital in your car. You won't tell anyone how this happened or that I was involved. If any of you say I was involved or knew about your infidelity, the collected video, audio, and photos will go public. Don't fire my ex-wife. She'll need her job after the divorce. If you come after me or she refuses the divorce proposal, everything comes out. Get him to the hospital before he bleeds, and remember what I said." I left the same way I came, fixing the lock and closing the door. I put the bat and rifle in a bag, slung it over my shoulder, and quietly left the area. I threw the baton rifle into different parts of the river while riding my bike back to the office. I removed the surgical gloves and threw them away. Upon returning to the office, I stored my bike in the car and returned to my desk by 9 p.m. After that, I set off on my trip, bidding farewell to some CO workers burning the midnight oil. To everyone's knowledge, my car never left the parking lot, and I stayed at my desk all evening. Accusations would be their word against mine, with no proof if they ever pointed fingers. Mark had surgery. He had to shave his head for 18 stitches due to a concussion. According to his story, he last remembered walking home with paperwork to his personal assistant before ending up in the hospital. He told the police he couldn't recall seeing anyone or being assaulted. Choosing to stay silent, he was aware that I could destroy his life and career. Jessica was extremely upset and didn't utter a word about the incident. All she mentioned was hearing a shot. When she went outside, she found Mark lying there and rushed him to the hospital, thinking there wasn't time to wait for an ambulance. Neither could explain why he was undressed, and both stuck to their stories. Mark's wife doubted him, causing significant problems. I spent the afternoon removing surveillance equipment, uploading everything to an encrypted cloud server, and tossing the equipment away. Any remaining evidence of their affair was now inaccessible in the cloud. Around 6 p.m., Jessica entered and found me in the living room with a bottle of my good whiskey. I sat quietly as she faced me on the couch. She looked shattered and sad. I had never seen her like this, and for a brief moment I felt sorry for her. With tears in her eyes, she couldn't bear it and tried to explain everything. "Johnny, what you witnessed was bad, but you need to know I wasn't in love with him. I know it seemed that way, and it must have hurt, but you know me. After closeness, I need connection. It was all for you, baby. When you left, I hated being alone, and Mark kept me company. And yes, it got passionate, but it was just closeness. You have to believe me." My mouth hung open in amazement at the incomprehensible excuse she made. "Jessica, I heard your explanations, and despite you saying those words of love were meant for me, I can't help but believe they were for Mark. It's over, Jessica. 20 wonderful years wasted because of your boss and your infidelity. We both have to live with your actions forever. Thanks for the pain and suffering you caused me. I'll always cherish it," I said sarcastically. "What do we do now?" she asked, tears streaming down her face. "Well, we're finished. With you, I'll never understand how you did this to me or why. I'll have to live with it forever. There's no way I can forgive what you did, but I'll keep my promise and not expose your infidelity. Sarah and your parents will never know they have such a woman instead of a mother and daughter. You'll have to explain why we're getting a divorce, but I warn you, don't make me the villain. If you do, it will end badly because I'll make sure everyone knows you're nothing more than a cheating adulteress. I'm putting the house up for sale, and in the meantime, you need to find a place to stay. Since you ruined everything, you need to move out. I'm not asking. This is what you'll do. Let me know where to send the divorce papers. Sign the papers and don't resist the divorce. Otherwise, it will be painful for you and your boyfriend." Crying into her hands, she tried to speak. "He's not my boyfriend, and I don't love him. Can't we figure this out? Is there anything we can do? I know it's too